Hi guys, you're welcome to the Octopus on Hippo Infos. This is the place where the beautiful game takes center stage and excitement knows absolutely no bounds. It is the first edition of the Octopus on Hippo Infos for 2024, and we are going to be discussing a wide range of issues. Not very wide. We'll be talking about the AFCON, which is what is making news all around the world these days, and a little bit of European football. In my company today, I'll be talking with Frankie. Hi, Frankie.
Hi, Cody. You all right?
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Tanda.
Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, see you just after the break, where we are going to be dissecting a lot of issues. We'll begin with discussions around Cameroon manager and coach Rigobert Song. Is he the man for the big occasion? See you just after the break. You're welcome back on the Octopus. First, we are going to talk about manager Rigobert Song, Cameroon Indomitable Lions coach. We'll talk with Tanda, but before that, let's begin with Frankie. Bleeder. Cameroon beat Algeria, qualified for the World Cup. The pivotal game, Brazil against Cameroon, World Cup, historic game. Cameroon delivered the goods. Last AFCON game, one defeat, one draw. Absolutely need to win. Pulls it off. There is one thing that is constant. Manager Rigobert Song. What's your question?
Thank you for that. Absolutely, Song is the man for the job. Why do I say Song is the man for the job? You've just listed a host of things, what he's done. If I tell you in Cameroon, paint a lion, you would go for Song. Is Song the manager? Is he the selectioner? I don't want to play with words. But my take on it is he is that man. Looking at the AFCON of the previous games, you've got a coach who is coaching the team. What is Cameroon actually doing? Are we looking at just the results on the pitch, or are we looking at the rebuild phase of it? If we're looking at the rebuild phase of that, look at Rigobert Song. He played with Cameroon with passion. Do I go back to World Cup 94, where Song was that defender? And Rigo has always, he's 100%. So what is the Feka Food or the Cameroon Federation actually trying to do right now? They're trying to get players who would play for the badge. Yeah. Who is that guy? If you turn up at the dressing room and he turns up and says, guys, play for the team.
That's exactly my next question. I'm going to go with Tanda for this one. Do you think, of course, we all knew Rigobert Song, combative defender, player, tackles here and there, that lion spirit. Do you think that Rigobert Song is beginning to transmit this fighting spirit into this Cameroon national team?
It's a process. I would say Song has been actually very, very impressive in the way he's been running the team.
Impressive?
Yes, impressive since he took over the management of the team. Okay. If you look, there have been situations where players who are not giving their all into the team, he's been able to stamp out his authority on them, telling you have to step up your game, you have to be part of the group, or we keep you by the side. We all know what happened in Qatar. We all know what happened with some of the players who were selected and those who were not called up in the current African Cup of Nations. Okay, and we know what has happened in the 3 games that we've played actually in the Nations Cup, and how that has transformed how the team has been able to transform their performance from one game to the other. So I believe that he's been able to transfer or transmit his know-how to the players, but it's something that has to be time.
Yeah, know-how is a big word. Know-how is a big word. I just want to be sure we're talking about the fighting spirit.
I would think
everybody
100%.
Everyone is talking about this fighting spirit.
Yeah. He's got it. Yeah? He's got it. But we're looking at the last 20 minutes against Gambia. Let's go back. You mentioned Algeria. Yeah. Forget about Algeria. It was a World Cup. We talked about the World Cup. Let's go back to the AFCON in Cameroon against Burkina Faso, I believe. We were 3-0 down. We turned up 3rd place. How did that work?
Song wasn't the manager.
He wasn't the manager, but there was that lion spirit of fighting. But now coming back, it's coming back in. Because that's why we lost against Algeria in Cameroon. Yeah. But he came up and we turned up. In the when did we concede in Algeria? Towards the end of the game. Yeah. What happened? We turned up. Against Brazil, we're out and gone. Every single Cameroonian would not chastise Song if we did not win against Brazil.
Just to add to that, if you do a sample, so many Cameroonians were not even sure that we will have something out of that game against
Agree.
Brazil.
Agree.
Everybody will agree with me on that. And looking at what actually happened in the Nations Cup today, you would see in this very last game that something changed with that team.
Last 20 minutes of the last game.
Something actually
I agree with
changed
you,
that team.
but moving on.
I would strongly, not strongly, I would disagree with you slightly on the fact of something changing in the last 20 minutes. I don't know if we watched the same game. We were a possession-based team.
I watched the game.
We were a possession-based team. They were a counter-attacking team. We had the ball, pointless possession, not pointless, I don't know. But that was our formation to hit them on the wing, which left us very light in the center of the park. And they were going very direct through the center of the park. So are we just the last 20 minutes? That's when we showed the fighting spirit. But the whole game, we controlled. Yes, they hit us on the counter, where we seemed weak, but we controlled the game. And when it came to crunch time, we turned up. We put on the gas.
Yeah.
And we delivered.
Okay, I'm going to put this to you guys. Do you think Rigo Besson is a man for the job? 6 months. I think in March, if I'm not making an error, we are going into this World Cup qualification games. Then after that, we have AFCON 5 coming up. We have the World Cup 2026 coming up. Is Song the man to take Cameroon on the medium term? Would you maintain him in the dugout? I just want an answer.
Yes,
Song the man?
we maintain him in the dugout. For the World Cup qualification games, we've already played 2. We've been impressive. We had a very good turnout in Douala against Mauritius. The team played so well. I was impressed with some of the young players who actually played in that game. Against Libya, we had a very fantastic game. Our game structure and game plan was well executed. In the AFCON, we've had some little, crunches,
We've
hitches.
not had little hitches. We lost to Senegal 3-1.
Yes, but it has to do too with the way we manage our game and the way we approach the game and the way we also reacted to the game plan. But I will tell you, we have to keep Song there and let him do his job right up to the end.
Frankie, is Song the man for the job?
Yes. Straightforward.
On the
Yes.
short term, on the medium term?
You said medium term. Medium term, yes, he's the man for the job. It's a rebuild phase. And I'll borrow my colleagues' talk about it's a process. Let's trust and believe in that process. We do not want it to happen right now. We cannot leave from nothing to be something. And I'll give you my point. Cameroon has never fielded a team of home or local talents ever in its history. In Song's reign, it's happened. We're talking about local Cameroonian football players going to Qatar representing their nation.
Schreiber,
representing
Bekele, yeah.
The list can go on. Yeah. Look at Douala representing in the AFCON at the minute. So is Song that guy? Absolutely, because people believe in him. Medium term. Long term, I believe we talk about 3 or 5 years. That's something to discuss later down the line. Yeah, but short and medium term, 100%. It is a process. Trust and believe in that process. Without that, then we might as well just stay at home.
Okay, guys, we are going to come back on these discussions. That is what the panelists think of this particular situation. Frankie thinks Song is a man for the job. Tanda absolutely thinks Song is a man for the job. In our next segment, we are going to be talking about Onana. Welcome back, guys. We are on the Octopus on Hippo Infos. We have talked about Rigo Besson manager. I think the panelists have agreed. Surprisingly, I must say that Song is a man for the job. My personal opinion doesn't really matter. What do you think about Song Bahanak as the manager for the Indomitable coach manager? I don't know those names.
They kind of sound convincing.
You sound confusing.
Because we hear of entraîneur, we hear of entraîneur manager,
selectionnaire. That's his job, selectionnaire, because every single part of the Cameroon team is a structure, it's a stage. There are managers for every single phase. Song's job as a selectionnaire is to make those hard, difficult decisions. He is that face, he's that lion's face in the Cameroon national team. You walk through the dressing room, you look at Rigo, and you're like, yeah, I've got to die for the badge.
Because there is this impression when the team wins games, they say, "Oh, it's these players who just did their thing," and when the team performs poorly, they say, "Oh, Song is clueless."
No, it cannot be that. Song is clueless because as a manager, you have a game plan. you have a structure with which you approach a game.
Yeah.
And definitely he comes in, he approaches every game with his plan and tries to ensure that his team executes it the way he wants it. So it could be that he comes with a plan, but along the line, it doesn't work the way he expects it to work. So he's going to assume the responsibility. And he tells us every time that if it doesn't work, it's his responsibility.
Right.
In as much as the players on the pitch do give their best. They do give their best and
So,
they have their
Frankie, take us through this. Selectionnaire, manager, coach. I mean, there's a lot about the modern football, the modern day football structure.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't seem to get.
Yeah.
So, take us through that.
You've got a manager.
Yep.
Who manages the entire team. He's responsible for everything. He makes that decisions, the difficult decisions you don't want to say, to talk about.
Yeah.
He's pretty much the interface between the owners of a club or the national team, as you've got Feka Food and everything else. He's that interface between them and the players. You've got coaches, you've got head coaches, you've got first team coaches, goalkeeping coaches, midfield coaches, and everything else. They give the drill. At the end of the day, Song's job, potato, he is the selectioner.
Yeah.
He selects the team to come in and say, for example,
Who doesn't play?
yes,
Who plays
this,
where? Who does what?
personally, as a defensive coach, I believe this would be the structure you could go with. I believe that the 4 people that could fit in this structure. Song still had the final say, accepted, but he's not the one coaching those players. Now, you did mention something about Song goes under the stick a hell of a lot of times because we get it wrong, because Cameroonians want us to get that victory. Let's go back to Brazil. When we won, did the country go into euphoria, praising Song about winning?
Yeah.
Let's go back. We criticized Song for the previous 2 games about how could we draw against
Guinea.
Guinea.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, against Guinea.
Okay.
Oh my
Guinea.
God.
Yeah.
We played against the champions of Africa, the best team in Africa as it stands.
Without a
We get beaten 3-0. Oh my God, Song is not that guy. He should get chastised. Then we beat the Gambia. I haven't seen anywhere on social media people praising Song for his job. So is he just that guy is he just the fall guy?
To be just died.
Yeah, is he the fall guy? So what's the yardstick? How do we measure it? He's either good or he's either bad. So if we lose, if we won, so his tactic should be he wasn't that great, but the team fought. Who is that manager who incentivizes them, who goes in and says, guys,
And
go in
frankly,
there.
just to add on to that, I believe Song actually gives the team the right incentive at the right moment.
Correct.
We've highlighted already the occasions where the team has been able to cross that line.
When
And
they
you
needed
can
it
see that actually, when it comes to the games that matter, he has risen to the occasion.
He delivers.
Okay, that's it for the manager Rigobert Song's stakes, whatever, who he is, what he does. You guys have agreed on the fact that he's a man for the medium term. Let's move on. Man, Onana, Andre Onana, Ajax, Inter Milan. How much did Man United pay for that guy? Is it 65 million? I don't know. A lot of money.
Yeah.
But he's shipping loads and loads of goals in United. We all know that. I don't know if it's him shipping or United defense. Okay, he's got a lot of goals. He also got a lot of clean sheet. I know that. Absented the first game because of the game. We all know the story against Tottenham. Comes back in straight into the team for the second game. Concedes 3 goals, 3 shots, 3 goals. Third game, Fabrice Ondua comes in, makes 5 vital saves. What do we do with Onana? Frankie, you want to go?
I don't mind. Onana, my opinion, yeah, and I'll stand by it any time of the day. He is undisputedly Cameroon's #1 keeper. Undisputed.
So you
Are we still back on the euphoria of 2017 because Ondua led us to victory, or are we a progressive team?
no, we are looking at this after.
So I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm getting there. Let's go back to 2017. Is it just the euphoria of Ondua, who has played 2 games for his club, and he's played more in the national team than his club? So obviously, he would have a very better record on conceding goals than Onana, who is the #1 keeper for United. If Onana were that bad,
United is not such a great team.
United is
They are 8th in the Premier League, and Onana is part of that team. It's not like he's some.
so United are not a big team. Is that
They are a big team, but they are not performing.
their performance isn't that good? Is it down to one player?
He's part of the team
He's part of the team. I agreed. But why is he the one being picked on?
because he's the goalkeeper. He concedes the goals.
So what about the defenders? Because if he's a keeper, he's part of the defense. You talk about the 5-man defense.
Yeah,
you talk about the defensive midfield as well.
Cameroon uses the same defense and concedes. No,
How many goals has Ondoa considered in the AFCON?
he's played 2 games.
How many games has he considered? 3. How many has Onana considered?
3.
Why are we picking up on Onana and on
So
Ondoa? They're both
Onana.
undisputedly. And I'll tell you why. Let's look at the game against the Gambia. The Gambia were hitting on the counter.
Yep.
We were sat back way deep. Do you know why? Zero confidence in our keeper playing on the feet. Modern day goalkeeping.
No, he might not just be confident. Maybe his play style. I agree with
Different.
you. I agree with you.
There is a huge difference.
Goalkeeper.
And that's why
Not
with
matter of-
Onana on the pitch, we take on 2 or 3 yards further up the pitch. We press them. We do the high press. We contain them in their zone because of that confidence. Which means, is he a better shot stopper?
Tanda.
Yes.
Frankie has said something. Playing with Onana gives Cameroon the advantage to go 2 or 3 yards forward. But the job of the goalkeeper is to keep the ball out of the net. And arguably, admittedly, Ondua has done it a little bit better than Onana because Onana faced 3 shots, conceded 3.
No, he hasn't done anything better than that. Onana had more. He had a lot of saves as well in the game. Is it just because we're looking? I'll go with confirmation bias. No, I'll go with confirmation bias. Confirmation bias because it's Onana. Whatever he concedes, it's his fault. So the one with Olivier Kemen giving a back pass or an assist against the team, now it becomes Onana's problem because
Because it's Onana.
it's Onana.
But in
So
that
if we were Ondoa,
game, it was Ondoa who played. So
yeah,
but
yeah.
you have a point there because the defense does not only start
doesn't
with the
help him.
goalkeeper. It starts with the players in front of the goalkeeper. But I've got
something to say. I've got something to say on that. Where you've talked about the job of a goalkeeper is to keep clean sheets and stop the shots and everything else. So by that same token, Ederson at Man City, Manuel Neuer for Bayern and Germany, and you go with Ter Stegen or the Barcelona keepers, they are not good keepers because they are very good at their feet and they push forward. They're not shot stoppers. They are not shot stoppers. As an Arsenal fan, Ben Leno is one of the best shot stoppers in the world. One of them. I'm not saying he's the best. One of the best shot stoppers. But he got sold because he's not good at his feet. Why is that? Because football is evolving. So are we still dinosaurs stuck in that era of, a keeper should just be playing in his 80-meter box? Or are we progressive enough to say a keeper should be the first line of attack when we are going offensive? If that's the case, then Onana all day. He would make mistakes. He's still 27. A keeper can carry on till 40. He's still learning his trade. He's still plying his trade. If Ondoa were that great,
So for you,
he would not be playing.
Onana plays
If Ondoa were that great, anytime, any day. If Ondoa were that great, he would not be playing for a 4th division or a 3rd division.
Third division team.
He would not be playing for a 3rd division team. They would snap him.
With all due respect.
And he played for Latvia.
Now,
With respect.
Tanda, you come in. We have a pivotal game against Nigeria. I think maybe by the time this goes on air, we must have played that game already. But now we are talking about Cameroon against Nigeria AFCON 2023.
Yeah.
Who do you play? Onana?
I'll go with Ondoa.
We go with Onana.
Yes.
Oh, I like this.
The reason being that Ondoa has showed some degree of confidence since the tournament started. And we also have to look at the fact that he has past experience in the AFCON. In terms of the numbers of games.
You get stuck in
Yes,
that's exactly what.
Rather, and we are looking at the present as well. He has more games in the AFCON than Onana. That's one thing. And also, you have to understand that Onana has an effect on the team in terms of his personality.
So we should just walk home. Let's walk home because Catolito has got more. We can't defend. Let's go to the back 4.
We can walk home because
let's go to the back 4. Who are those who actually played in the previous AFCON? In the last AFCON we won.
Gade, Taker,
Who are they? Are they part of the team?
Yungo Bito.
Are they part of the team?
Yeah, but
So, no, by going by that, no. It's not a different argument. Which means by his argument of he's got a lot of experience in the AFCON, it means the rest of the team should leave except Zambo and Gisa, Abubakar. It does count. It does count. The experience on what? What are we based our experience on?
playing African football, AFCON.
Twice every 2 years.
No, it's actually Ondoa's first AFCON competition since 2017.
Ondoa, which means every 2 years. So that's why did he come in the one 2019? Why did he come in last year? Is it that because he's that great? He's that fantastic? I'm not disputing your point. I'm not saying Ondoa is a really horrible keeper. Absolutely not. With the style of play, with Nigeria doing the high press, with Osimhen being out there. Just a question to the panel. The game against Senegal. How many times did you find the Senegalese attack press Onana?
I can't count.
I'll tell you, zero.
Not so much. I think we got overrun in the midfield area.
Yes, correct. Why is that? Because they know we've got a gem. I'll use a biblical phrase, right? A prophet is never accepted in their hometown.
But Ondoa is a Cameroon.
He's a Cameroon. All of them are Cameroonians, but we don't know how well Onana plays because he's not that. He doesn't give you the traditional bat it here, bat it there. But what he offers to the Cameroon national team is where we want to go, but we're not there and we can't see what you're building on.
Okay, guys. Time constraints. So you go for Onana
Anytime, any day.
Ondoa
Against Nigeria.
against Nigeria. Okay, so that's it. You've sent a debate. What do you think? Who would you prefer for the game against Nigeria? In fact, who do you prefer as the number one goalkeeper for the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon? They're both very young goalkeepers. Ondoa plays in Nîmes Olympique. That is a third division team in France. While Onana, as we all know, as the first goalkeeper for Manchester United, massive football club. So, in the comment section or wherever in your discussion panels, who would you go, Onana or Ondoa? Welcome
back.
See you in our next segment. It has been heated here in the studios. A lot to say, but we have very limited time. Let us round off the segment on the Cameroon national team at AFCON. There is Lionel Ateba, player of Dynamo of Douala. There is Douala Nathan, player of Victoria United. Well, only two local players that we called up for this AFCON. 0 minutes altogether. Nathan hasn't even appeared in the team sheet of any game, I think, so far.
That's right.
What's your take? Why would they call? Why call a player if you are not going to use them?
I'll start off with that.
No, I'll go with that.
Okay.
The intention is not to call the player and don't make use of the player. But I think in terms of the game plan and game management, he has not had the opportunity to call the player.
There's also Ben Elliott, who hasn't
The
played.
case of Ben Elliott is kind of, to me, I would consider it a little bit special because I feel Ben Elliott is a substitute that we had the opportunity to use him in all 3 games.
But he
But
hasn't
we've
been.
not exploited
In fact,
that
Ben
opportunity.
Elliott, I'll take particular example of Ben Elliott. He has been around the national team set of getting to a year now.
Actually, yes.
He was former England youth international. He chose to play at Cameroon. Chelsea academy graduate.
And now he's at reading.
He is just not getting minutes for Cameroon. The few times he has come on, he has shown some flashes of brilliance, good touches here and there. So why doesn't he play?
In the game against Mauritius in Douala, I was very impressed when Ben Elliott came on the pitch. I think he played for like 20 minutes in that game.
Yeah.
And to the best of my knowledge, that is a game where he's played a lot of minutes for the national team. But I feel in the game against Guinea, we played up to 80 minutes before we did a substitution. And we made just 2 substitutions in that game. I don't see why. When we have players on the pitch who are on the bench who are hungry, and if you call them up, they will seize the opportunity and they will rise up to the occasion. So that was a game where we had the possibility to use these subs, and we did not make good use of them.
So Frankie,
And just to jump in,
okay,
the second game we lost. Obviously, there's the aspect of using your experienced players to manage such situations. And then the third game, like try to look for players on the bench that can contain the situation. So definitely the second game and the third game, I did not really see them as options for replacement based on those he had on the bench. Yeah.
Frankie, is this not a negative publicity for the Cameroonian league? You call up two players, everybody's excited. Wow, Cameroonian. You mentioned it in a previous intervention. This is one of the few times where we get players in the local. We remember in Brazil, the goal that Abaka
Gong Bekele.
was Bekele. He has not been called, by the way, for this particular competition. But is this not kind of a negative publicity for the Cameroon league? 0 minutes Ateba, 0 minutes Douala Netan.
I wouldn't say it's negative publicity. Absolutely not. No, it's not. It's positive publicity. Why do I put it positive? I'll put the spin on it. It tells Cameroonians playing in the Cameroonian local league, if you do well, you will be called up. We're no longer in the dinosaur era, which I said about. If you play in Europe, that's when you get called up. And now, as Cameroonians, are we just emotional about football?
Yeah.
Or are we going for the practical game? Or are we going for the practical game? Yeah. If we're talking emotions, then we'll be like, oh my God, I would start a midfield of Ben Elliott, Douala, Ateba. They should go in there because we're so emotional. And you know what? Let's even put in on Doha in goal and get Nuhu Tolu, the armband, because they are so passionate about it. But is that the game of football? Is that the beautiful game? Is it all based on emotions? Absolutely not. Is Douala pivotal to this AFCON? Very much so. Have you watched the clips? Have you watched the morale of the team?
So he was called up to the team too.
It's not about, it's a team. It's a team. It's not an individual sport. No. It's not an individual sport. It's a team. It's a team sport. He trains with the team. The experience he's got training with the team, he would never have in Victoria.
19 years, by the way. Very young player.
17.
Oh, 17.
17. He would never have. Just that experience of going to a major tournament. It's something beyond his imagination. So, do you know what it means? Learning to ply your trade alongside Zambo Anguissa. Do you know what that means?
You see absolutely nothing wrong with it.
It's nothing wrong because it's a team. It's a team of 27, which means you'll be called up. 11 players need to go onto the pitch. So what about, you forgot about the fourth choice keeper.
The third and fourth.
Epasi is the third choice, and you've got Simon as the fourth choice keeper. Why have we forgotten to mention him? Is it because he plies his trade in France? He's not in the local league.
No,
So-
it's because for goalkeepers, I think we
No, but we're making an exception. We're trying to create a problem where there isn't one. It's a team of 27. 11 can't get on the pitch and 5 subs, which means we're taking it up to 16.
Okay,
So regardless, we've still got 11 people who would not be able to play. So would you rather be on the team sheet or be at home and not play? You know you're on the team sheet, but you're not going to play. What would you rather do? It's about the experience. It's about bringing, if you get Douala into the next AFCON competition, he would be a senior head. He would be able to tell the young ones coming in saying, so that's an experience. The morale. Do you know what it means for us? Let's go back to ourselves. Let's go emotional right now for a second. When you were 17, were you confident enough playing football back in school to go in with the big boys and sing and entertain them? Were you that confident?
not so.
Do you think? So why has Douala got that confidence? He's been welcome. He's been made to feel a part of it. It's that camaraderie we're looking for. Okay. It's a team of 11.
But
It's a team of 11.
Frankie, I still believe that there should be more. You understand? There should be more. And looking at the number of subs we've done, counting out the injuries, because we had 2 major players were on the injury bench. Elliott and our 2 home-based players still have that possibility to have been subbed.
I agree.
Because if you look at those who are left, the remaining
No.
Let's look at the rest of the players.
I agree.
But each of them have had at least a minute.
I brought up the point of the point of an emotional game of football, especially in Cameroon. That's the beauty about Cameroonian football and emotions. Let's go back to Guinea, to the first game we played against Guinea. You said it was a good opportunity to get Elliott on the pitch and everything else. We're 1-0, we're leading, we're chasing. We're the Indomitable Lions, 5-time champions. He goes on the pitch. I can just hear this echoing in my head. Pourquoi l'enfant la joue?
No, but in that particular game,
let's be emotional.
had some very, very good players.
Would you not?
No, it couldn't be a scapegoat. I believe if the manager passed the right message onto the player he was bringing on.
And
Just like the case,
individual
yes,
mistake,
just like
example,
An individual mistake.
goal,
but
stage
but-
pride, anything could happen.
Anything could happen.
No, but I'm talking as of the time he made his first substitution, which was around the 80th minute of that game.
Chasing
No, they had already equalized by
just
then.
the 3 points. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, they had equalized by then. They were chasing to win the game.
They-
And you still had outfield
One
players.
man advantage.
You still had outfield players who were not living up to their full potential. You had a
Midfielders.
couple of outfield players in the midfield not living
Elliot
up to
is
their
a
full.
midfielder.
Yeah, exactly, and that's my point.
Who weren't living
You
to
had
their
those
full
hungry guys that you could bring on then,
Would you change
and they
to
could
that
leave.
Would you have changed?
Would you change
Anguissa would have gone out.
for Elliot?
Yes, Anguissa would have gone out.
That's bold.
That's big.
And it's a
that's
very big statement. As the manager, you make the right decision. You put in the right message to the young guy who is hungry.
Elliot is going to
He's
go
gonna-
and hit a 30.
That's fine.
But
He holds the ball well. He passes.
yes,
He controls.
but he will make an impact in the game. And I feel that was a good opportunity for the manager to make such a big call.
I hear you. I hear you. I did mention at one point in the previous iterations, Cameroon was a possession-based team. We had the possession. Meaningful, useless possession, pointless. I don't know. I'll leave it up to you. But at that point, let's go by your theorem. Elliot comes in against Guinea. He's given the ball. Corner kick. We're trying to play against Guinea. It comes back. Here's the two people left. He makes that fatal error. Cameroon goes 2-1 down. What happens to his confidence at 21? It's about team management. We talk about Song being the selectioner and everything else. It's about management as well. So that's why I did mention, is it just emotional? Or are we looking at man managing, player managing?
Do you still think these guys have an opportunity?
They do.
In my opinion,
Absolutely.
that game was not well managed.
Absolutely.
That
No,
particular
we are
game
we,
was
we are
well
talking
managed.
we are not talking about particular games.
Yeah.
We are talking about the minutes that these players have had. We still have an eighth final game to play against Nigeria, and after that, we don't know if we qualify for
That game is very strategic.
quarterfinals. We don't know that. So, do you think these guys still have an opportunity to have some minutes?
They have the opportunity to have some minutes of play, depending on how the game against Nigeria plays out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's it. Ben Elliott, Atiba. We will talk about Simon, the goalkeeper, and a few other players have had 0 minutes and they have gone so far. Our panelists think that there is good management, still split on this decision. The jury is still out. Frankie thinks Song has done what he has to do. Thunder thinks that these guys should have a few minutes at least up to this point. So, see you in our next segment. We are going to be talking much more about the Octopus on after the break. We are still in company of Frankie and Thunder. This time we'll be talking about the African Nations Cup AFCON 2020 to be holding in Cote d'Ivoire. There has been a lot of talk about this AFCON. A lot of surprises. I don't know what I can call them surprises because they've been
Oh, yeah.
coming without end. Are there still big name African teams in the AFCON? Algeria, second consecutive elimination in the group stage. Ghana the same. Mauritania is in the last 16. Namibia. What's happening to African football?
Progressing. Massively progressing. There are no big names. No one's scared. Because previously it was a case of we're playing against Cameroon, we're playing against Ghana, let's just try pack the bus.
Yeah, but even
Come up with the point.
against Cameroon, it was
Why
battle.
you're going to Gambia? Let's go to Equatorial Guinea. The population of Douala is more than the nation.
Yeah, small country.
Small.
What do you talk about Cape Verde?
Cape Verde.
Cape Verde is less than a million.
It's less than 1 million. So what are we on about? There's no small. To me,
Cape Verde, they have been one of the revelations of
it is a wake up
But
call
Cape
to
Verde has
me.
been consistent.
It's a wake up call to the rest of the world who look at the African Nations Cup as a Minnie Mouse trophy or less important to the Euros, the World Cup, and everything else. Right now, the Pharaohs, the king of the 7-time winners of the African Nations Cup, Egypt, they qualified with 3 points.
struggled. They haven't won a
3
game.
points. You know what I mean? So, big name nations, oh no.
Doesn't exist.
What makes it good for me is African football is progressing.
Yeah.
That's why I used the word progressive to start off with.
The playing field is leveling up.
Okay, so
It's leveling up.
it's leveling up.
Yeah.
So no more big. No, it's clear. I don't think
Massively.
everybody sees things.
No household names anymore.
I'm going to ask you this in terms in a purely footballing sense. Is this the best AFCON ever? Or let's say in wrestling numbers.
In my lifetime,
Football
this
is
is the best
important.
AFCON because in terms of numbers, in the group stage, it was only until the last day that we recorded a series of nil-nil ties.
Yeah.
I think 3.
That's a
And we
record.
scored,
for
we
any
scored,
tournament
we
in the
scored in
world.
total 89
Yeah,
goals.
it's a record for any tournament in the world to
We
have
already have
this number of games without a nil-nil draw.
exactly. So it shows you how engaging every team that participated in this tournament came up to the tournament. We had a series of games where they were just unbelievable. They were so mouth-watering. You can take the game of Egypt against Cape Verde. I think that game should be one of the most impressive games in terms of performance for the tournament so far.
You believe that this is in a footballing sense the best AFCON ever?
In my opinion, it is.
Frankie?
Without a shadow of doubt, the best. Without a shadow of doubt. I would love to be patriotic enough to say Cameroon's AFCON, but hell no. This has been without a shadow of a doubt. Cameroon's AFCON was good. It was that the new era, ushering in the new era.
That was the first AFCON with 2014.
No,
Yeah,
the
second.
second.
Yeah.
2019 in Egypt was
In Egypt. So we're trying to usher in a new era of don't be scared of the household names.
Yeah.
Go for it. But then it was watered down, in my opinion, by the World Cup coming in shortly after that.
Yeah.
So people were like, right, let's just get rid of this, keep fit and come into the
Bring in
AFCON.
a sneaky little topic right now. There is this question about binationals, all these Euro-based players, the big hitters, the Mohamed Salahs, the Osimhens, the Anguissas, they are not exactly having exceptional AFCONs. Is this all part of the progression of African football? In fact, the top scorer of AFCON,
Emilios.
he plays in the third division of Spanish football. Cape Verde, good number of players playing the local league, Tanzania, and all of that. There is this talk about patriotic. I don't know. What's your take?
Are you a mind reader by any chance? Because that's what I'm thinking about, and that's why I talked about Song being that interface medium term, because it's visionary.
Yeah.
That's what, if you look at Fekafoot doing with local players, because the mindset is most African teams, small African teams, I will use small very, very loosely because there's no big household names as of a great. The smaller African teams are a lot of home-based players, which means they learn and play together in the same league. European-based players is based with a lot of stats, physios, and everything else. It's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
But coming back to Africa, it's that local league where you have to go hard or go home. So what has the Fekafoot done? Trying to get a local league team to play against the internationals, which would give you that feel of that. And that's why you get the likes of Mohamed Salah, Kudus, and the Ghanaian. They've got a lot of miles on the clock playing for their teams back in England or wherever they're playing. Zambia, they've got a lot of miles on their feet. But the Cameroonian-based or the African-based players, they don't play as many competitions as those guys.
Agreed.
So when they come in here, they would run their socks off. Do you know what it means being called up for your national team if you're playing locally? It's pride.
Massive.
Do you know what it means telling your neighbors, watch me on TV tomorrow, watch what I'm going to do to Salah?
Yeah.
You would put in your all on that.
But coming on to this same issue, you can call a player to represent his country and he'll be very proud of it. And will obviously give his 110% for that occasion. It's the same thing for the European teams. When you call Harry Kane to England, I believe he shows up 120% even. But it's not the same case with our own players when they turn up for our national team, or what we have going on in AFCON with some of the dismal performances we've seen on the pitch.
Yeah.
Other teams like Tanzania, they came up with a good number of local players, and the Tanzanian league is now the fifth league in Africa after most of the Maghreb league, which tells you
Tanzania league.
Which tells you
Wait,
that
Chemalon plays by the way.
exactly, which tells you also that CAF, obviously under the umbrella of FIFA, with the development system that Arsene Wenger is championing in FIFA, is actually doing a lot to see how to groom players locally have them participate in their local leagues, and these players get, shipped into the national team, and they give in the best.
in this big
Also, you have to understand definitely that the African game is very, very different from European game. You have to come in with energy. You have to come in with that fighting spirit, and you're giving your best. And I believe these local players are doing so, because South Africa has been very impressive. If you look at Namibia's team, you have a lot of players who play their trade in South Africa, with Mamelodi Sundowns, with Kaizer Chiefs and the likes. And they have been showing a very, very good performance out there.
I'll piggyback on what you're saying there, and there's some things I'll agree with you, and others I'll slightly disagree with you on. And the first thing I'll disagree with you slightly on is our players coming in from Europe don't have the same zest or the same buzz to play in here. The pitches. Let's talk about the pitches in Africa. It's not the same. Lionel Messi, arguably one of the best players in the world. Cristiano Ronaldo, if they play on an African pitch, they would struggle. Let's factor that in. And that's why our players you cannot expect to see.
and the setup is not exactly
No, but when you talk about the pitches, do you really want to tell me that the pitch we have out there in Cote d'Ivoire, Messi cannot perform on that pitch?
Yes, it's different.
No, I differ.
It is different. It is different. The maintenance of a pitch. Do you know what it means? I've been to the Emirates. Yeah, the maintenance of a pitch. It's 100% different from what. Let's go back to the AFCON in Cameroon, where you had the pitch in Omnisport. There was a point where they thought of calling off the match. Because do you know the famous goalkeeper flop where he went and the ball bubbled up and he was doing. So the pitch, I'm not saying it's holy.
That's the thing, not to discredit what.
I'm not saying it's holy.
But
I'm not saying it's holy.
But this same guy turned out in South Africa in 2010.
South Africa,
on the pitches.
South Africa. Where did they play in South Africa? South Africa is you talk about South Africa. That's one of the
world class.
World class. South Africa is world class.
But the
African football.
The pitch at Nelspruit was criticized.
You're picking pitches. No, you're picking. Now what you're doing now, you're nitpicking. You're nitpicking a certain
you
pitch.
cannot condemn. You cannot condemn all the
I'm not
pitches.
condemning it.
In African sport.
Just a minute. Just a second to round off. A second to round off, please.
You would round off. You will round off, but we are going to be talking about the AFCON, the team that has impressed you the most. So when you round off, you just cue into that. Which team has impressed you the most in this AFCON? Maybe call it whatever. Surprise package.
Yeah, no, surprise package. I'll run off. I'm not saying here that the pitches are the reason why the players are not performing. I'm saying it is a factor because they don't train on those pitches regularly as they do back in their club pitches. They don't play with the same sort of players. I'm not dissing it. You talked about African Cup of Nations where they're playing with zest and interesting. There was a point where let's go back 4, 5, 6 AFCONs ago. When they play, you just fall asleep. You're waiting for the big name teams to play because it was really boring football. But now it's all changed because you've got the home players where they're playing pride and everything else. So that's just my point. That's why I said I agree with you, but there are certain things I would slightly disagree because conditions could make players not perform.
Weather would be one of those conditions.
Absolutely. With the heat and everything else.
I would disagree on the pitch.
I understand that and I respect that.
I think it's an important factor.
Yeah, the weather.
Yeah.
The
pitch.
It's a big deal because it's true as a competition has gone on. I think the pitches have
they're improving.
Because in the first few games there was a lot of complaints from the teams. And when you watch, the ball wasn't really quite real.
Wasn't that good
as it should be. Okay, so
if you look at on the pitch as well, just to add on to you, with Arsenal, when we go play in Sweden, we played against a team in Sweden at one point, and we complained because it's an artificial pitch. So if you can tell about an artificial pitch having that effect on a natural pitch and everything else, so it does have an impact on how players play, but it doesn't mean it's the whole. It's in entirety. No, it's not that. So my surprise team, I am not even going to lie. I knew they were good because they nearly kicked us out of the World Cup. Cape Verde.
What's the surprise? You agree with
Mauritania, because they were able to knock out Algeria. Nobody saw that coming. And secondly, the coach of Mauritania is the same who took the Comoros Island in Cameroon to the next phase of the tournament.
Yeah.
So they've been very impressive for me.
Okay. So that's it. We are going to be talking about a few other things about the AFCON. We wrap this off, then we go to European football. The next thing we're going to talk about just after the break is your picks for the last 8. We're going to look at the fixtures and you're going to tell us your picks. Who do you think goes through in every game? I think we have the games on your devices. You can go through it. We talk
Welcome
about
back,
that
guys, to
just
the
the Octopus on Hippo Infos. This is the place where the beautiful game takes center stage and excitement knows absolutely no bounds. We have been talking about the AFCON. We're going to round off this segment with the officiating. Maybe the AFCON has been, in my opinion, really good, great, top notch. What do you think Europe, FIFA can learn from CAF maybe?
The use of VAR,
VAR
ref,
officiating,
officiating in general, the refs.
still controversies, no scandals.
Absolutely.
So far.
Absolutely.
The referees have been very good at managing the games.
Good game management.
Very, very level-headed.
Fantastic.
It's true there have been situations where discipline has been a problem for the teams. We've recorded over 105 yellow cards, 4 red cards so far. But the game management from the referees have been impeccable. Yeah. And I was also impressed with the young Moroccan lady who managed the game of Nigeria, Guinea.
Yeah.
Yes, that she did so well.
Yeah.
She did so well. In fact, that team was basically all women. So you see how women are actually being involved in African football, and CAF is actually giving them the opportunity. So it's something very great.
The Premier League, I think that's one of the most watched football competitions in the world. The Champions League, they have a thing or two to learn from CAF
Yes.
in terms of officiating.
In Europe, there's this French referee. The name has just skipped my mind, but she did manage the one of the how do you call it? The UEFA Cups finals.
Okay.
Yeah, I think between the Champions League winners and the
Super Cup.
yes, the Super Cup.
Yeah.
I think like 2 or 3 years back. Yeah, so I think women are actually getting involved in football. And just to go a little bit outside officiating, the captain of the South African female team was also standing in as the first lady to ever give commentaries on the CAF tournament.
Yeah.
I think she's called Dlamini.
Yeah, that's
Yes, so we see that women are actually getting more involved in football, and it's something to really comment on.
Okay, so I'll put this to you guys. We have I think you have them in your devices, the round of 16 games.
Yeah.
Where that's 8.
Easy. I'll start off with Cameroon.
Yeah.
I would even dare stick my head out and say I tip Cameroon to win the trophy.
Isn't that a stretch?
Yeah, I'll stick my head and say I stick Cameroon to win the trophy anyway. So I think is that the patriotic part of me, or is that the realistic part of it?
Okay.
I think both.
You tell us.
So I'll go with Cameroon sticking up, and Cameroon playing against Nigeria. I'm not just looking at the historical part of it and everything else, but I believe the Cameroon mojo, we're back. Looking at Mali, Burkina Faso, that would be a good game. That would be a good game. My heart tells me Burkina would go through. My head tells me Mali would go through. Why do I say Mali? Because I'm an Arsenal man. You've got some Tottenham players playing for Mali, so I'm not really keen on it. But I think Mali would win. I think Mali would tip that group of 8. So I'd go Cameroon, Mali, Namibia over Angola. Yeah,
One of the surprises.
yeah. I'll go Namibia.
Okay.
Your luck runs out sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go Namibia. I didn't want this fixture to happen. Cape Verde, Mauritania. I did not want it to happen because they've been really. Tanda did say underdog story. So it's like a beautiful romance thing going in there. But the beauty about it is one of them would progress to the next round as well, which is going to be great for their nations. So I've watched Cape Verde play a few times because they played against Cameroon and they gave us a torrid time. So I'll still say Cape Verde because I stuck with them saying they're my surprise factor. So I'll say Cape Verde goes through. Morocco. It has to be Morocco, doesn't it? It has to be Morocco. There's no way for me to spin this round in my head.
World Cups in the final, I think they set the bounds in.
Yeah.
But you have to remember that they will be playing without their manager was suspended after that.
Yeah, but with technology right now, you've got headphones, everything. So he's still there, but not physically there. So, and he goes to the dressing room as
South
well.
Africa is being coached by Hugo Bruce, former AFCON.
Yeah, I know, but I've psyched myself up to give a really good spiel on South Africa beating Morocco. But when it came to it, I was like, yeah, Frankie, you wouldn't even believe your spiel. Morocco, it just has to be Morocco. It's not because it's a household name and everything else. Guinea, Equatorial Guinea, the Battle of the Guineas.
Yeah.
I'll stick with my emotional side, Equatorial Guinea.
Because they were getting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll stick with my emotional side.
They are having a good AFCON, by the way.
Then Egypt, DR Congo. I'll be very biased. Egypt has not been great
Not at all.
in the World Cup, in the AFCON so far. But let's ask ourselves this question: would they be that bad throughout? They are due a bounce. Could this be their bounce?
They are one of the historically great.
Yeah, could it be their bounce? As a Cameroonian,
And they say
I don't want them to bounce. I don't want them to bounce because they might go on and win it and it'll go 8, which means we're 3 goal stars behind them. So I don't want them to progress, but I know they would.
So
Egypt, I'll go Egypt.
Egypt, okay.
Senegal, Ivory Coast.
Okay.
I know Cameroonians would hate me for this. They'll kick me for this. Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast goes through.
Yeah.
Senegal have it impeccable.
Yeah.
I think that they're the top scorers.
They're the only
Yeah. But
the top scorers is Equatorial Guinea with 9 goals.
9.
But
Yeah.
Senegal is the only team to have a 100% record.
Let's go. But let's go. I'll go by the same vein of talking about Egypt. They have not been great. They are due a good game. Senegal, on the other hand, have been good. They're due a bad game. They're due a dip. Is this going to be the dip? Because Ivory Coast survived by the skin of their teeth. The entire nation will back them to cheer them up. So have they got a point to prove?
Okay. Thunder?
Well, starting with the Senegal game, I will choose to disagree. I believe Senegal will make it.
So you group Senegal?
Yeah, it's your opinion, which is 100% fair.
They've gone through a series of outcomes now with virtually the same team and a very young set of exciting players coming in, like Lamine Camara, who has 2 goals and has been the best player in the African home-based championship that took place in Algeria. So Senegal, to me, Senegal to me, coming off their 100% record, should take that one.
Okay.
With Egypt and DR Congo, DR Congo and Egypt, they've basically had the same tournament so far. A series of draws. Not very impressive with their attack and their defending. Although Egypt, to me, seemed to have had a hard time with Cape Verde, but went through as well with the skin of their teeth. So I think Egypt should have an edge over DR Congo. And the game between Mali and Burkina Faso, that will also look to be a clash of the Titans, in West Africa. But I think Burkina Faso, the Stallions, you can never write them off. The last time they were able to make it to the finals was in 2013. And unfortunately, they lost that year to Nigeria. I think this would be an opportunity for them to find redemption. And Equatorial Guinea, Conakry. I've been so impressed with the Zalang National. Yes, and I think they just look to continue with that run. So yes, I think Equatorial Guinea would sail through. Morocco, South Africa. I so much like the Moroccans because of their coach, because of what they've done to African football by taking us one step further in the World Cup to get to the semi-final. But the South Africans, they've played so well. They have a very compact team. They have a very impressive play style. They are able to mix depending on the opponent they have. They came up with a different game plan against Zambia. Came up with a different plan against Tanzania, and on the last day, they also did a very good job. So I believe South Africa, to me, would pose a lot of problems to Morocco. And I might just stick with South Africa for this. It's been over.
Okay.
It's been over.
Cape Verde, Mauritania.
Cape Verde, Mauritania, like Frankie rightly said, it's a love story of two minnows, and we just have to choose one. In this case, I think Cape Verde will sail through because they've been very solid in their attack, and they posed a lot of problems to the big teams in the tournament so far. Angola, Namibia, the Palengras Negras have also done so well, but I think Namibia, looking at the way they played against Cameroon during the qualifications of the Nations Cup, you can't just write them off. Peter Shalolile, I think he will get a goal in this tournament, and he'll come from this game. And perhaps that goal is just...
He's due a goal, by the way.
And perhaps that goal will just help them to go through to the next phase.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you go Namibia.
And then lastly,
The game.
yes, the two heavyweights
Who's going through?
have to go with your nation, man.
No.
Cameroon.
Who goes through?
Cameroon goes through.
Okay, so that is the choices of our two panelists this evening. I think they pretty much agree on a lot of choices, except I think Egypt. Yes, they agree on Egypt. The Senegal, no. I think Frankie thinks Cape Verde, Cote
Ivory
d'Ivoire,
Coast. Ivory Coast.
the Ivory Coast
Host
go
nation.
through.
There's that host nation boss. Man. There's
expense
that host nation boss.
Senegal, then Namibia. Oh, Tanda thinks that Namibia goes through at the expense of Angola. Well, we're going to see how this.
I think so as well, because I think I did say Namibia goes through.
No, you said Angola. You said Angola.
Did I?
You did.
All right, okay.
Yeah. So we'll see how it pans out. The quarterfinal games. Sorry, the 8 final games begin in a few hours, like tomorrow. So we'll see how that one pans out. Maybe in our next podcast, next session, we'll be talking about other things. We'll be able to see whose predictions came right. So that's it for the AFCON segment of this particular session of the Octopus on People Info.